Hey guys, I wanted to do a video update on where we're at with the NetPi development. The biggest push that's been requested, and the biggest thing I was trying to get done, is get the image compatible with the Pi 2 board, because I personally have one, as well as I know that it's quite a hardware increase up to the quad core processor and the 1 gig of RAM. So you should see some efficiency in its ability to perform as well. So I've released the image for the Pi 2 board. It's on blamethenetwork.com. There is a new post dated March 28th of 2015. I've got the download link on there. It's a compressed image file in a 7-zip kind of tarball or zip file. There are some issues. Obviously the biggest issue, for the most part, it's exactly the same as the image you've already seen, the one that went viral on Lifehacker. Compatibility wise, you're looking at the Pi 2 now is good to go, will boot it. You're also looking at the B Plus, still able to boot it. I don't have a B board, the original Raspberry Pi B board, but if anyone has one, feel free to post in the comments if it works for you. Now the biggest issue that I need to overcome here, and you'll hopefully the community will be able to help support in this, in the development, but I'm going to keep trying to put some time into it. I just wanted to get this release out so that people could assist if they would like to. Biggest issue is that the touchscreen capability on these LCDs was lost in the kernel upgrade. Kernel needed to be upgraded in order to get this image working on the Pi 2 board. I don't know exactly what kernel version the Pi 2 needs in order to run, but I know that the initial release was not up to that kernel level for Raspbian, which is Raspbian Wheezy's like the Debian variant for Raspberry Pi. So yeah, we lost one of the major capabilities. Now obviously the old image is still available and still works on the B Plus. I've been trying to field and support any comments of technical issues people are having. There's a lot of individual configuration with these Pis, with the different hardware components and everything, so sometimes it's a case of someone just needing to set theirs up a little differently and getting it to work. Anything major that comes up, I'm going to try and support and release fixes for. But there is even an upgrade guide I have on the webpage. You can see step by step, 5 steps essentially, in order to upgrade the old image to the new one. And it'll still work on your old board, but it will get rid of the touch capability. And again, that has to do with the initial image had some manufacturer proprietary drivers for that the 4-inch JB Tech image or LCD screen that I suggested. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. The lighting in here is kind of bad right now. When we upgraded the kernel, it breaks that. I think it's some compatibility issues with kernel versions, maybe new drivers or something to that extent. And I've not been able to fix it. I've literally been around pretty much the whole internet looking for anyone with similar issues. Turns out there are a lot of people with similar issues, and this just seems to be a not very well documented process yet. As versions change of Linux, obviously drivers for these different kind of components are going to have to change as well. And when they're using these GPIO pins that are kind of unique to the Raspberry Pi, and how power and different functions are processed through them, it's going to take some time for these developers to release things for them. Now, step 4 on the upgrade guide, you'll see there is an RPI update command that you run, and it actually uses this fella Notro. He's a GitHub user. He's got a repository with some Pi-related Linux upgrades, essentially. The biggest one being the FBTFT, which is a open source display driver that he's put together, and it supports a lot of LCD models, and it does a pretty good job. But when it comes to touch functionality, it's almost a different process. So the image is available if you'd like to download it, test it out, see if you can get touchscreen functionality to work, and let me know on call at blamethenetwork.com. Or post a comment, tweet, whatever you want to do, and I'll keep an eye on it. And I'm going to keep working on my own, but community involvement will definitely help speed it up if anyone has some free time. So I wanted to just prove that this works on the B Plus and the 2. I have 2 different SD cards, 2 different boards. This is the original B+ board. You've seen it in the pictures. Again, hopefully you can see this in the video, but I'm not going to take it out of the case. It's just kind of screw together a couple layers to kind of lock up the components and make it a little easier to hold on to. So this here, I've got the JB Tech 4-inch LCD. I'm going to go ahead and attach that onto it. This is basically the build from the initial NetPi release that went viral. Okay, other than excuse me, whatever case you want to put all these components in. So I'm going to go ahead and power this bad boy up with my sweet pink USB cable, because I still haven't gotten out and gotten too many other USB cables for these things. Takes a second. It's gonna switch over to the console screen here. I'm hoping you can see it on the camera, and I'll let it continue to boot, and at the same time, there you go, I'm gonna do something else. Now you can see that it's complaining, if you install this, it starts complaining about the ADS 7846 device not being found. That relates to a portion of the FBTFT and the LCD drivers. It will still display everything fine. Still working on trying to figure out a fix for the touch. Hopefully that comes here soon, and I'm going to re-release the image. Now what I have over here on the left side is a Pi 2 board that I have not put into a case, and I cannot get the display off of. They don't look any different, especially in the lighting you probably have in this video. You're not going to really be able to tell, but I can promise you this is the Pi 2 board. It's quad core, 1 gig of RAM. The only thing that really changes is processor gets a little bigger. There's more circuitry on the board, and the logo for Raspberry Pi kind of shrinks down on the edge there. So this is for the LCD. This is a Arduino 3.5-inch touchscreen. I'm gonna go ahead and hook this up. More touchscreens are working with this, with the new image and the Pi 2 board. But again, the biggest issue, you're going to hear it too many times, is that the touchscreen capability isn't working. Now, it's not the end of the world. What I'd really like to do, honestly, is start to redevelop this where, you can plug it in and then remote into it with your cell phone on wireless or with a remote workstation and run every one of the components right from a web interface. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on while I'm talking for the Pi 2. I've got a sweet little toggle switch USB cable that I've got hooked up to a little mini USB battery pack over there. But yeah, I'd like to redevelop it so that you can essentially run all these functions remotely and get the output wherever you're accessing it from. Right now it's kind of designed where the output goes to the LCD screen, which is cool for a handheld device, but the ability to remote into it and get the same kind of information, displayed right in front of you, rather than having to go for a log file. Log files work, but you're going to want to do some of the stuff obviously live. So I guess the only other thing I can think of is maybe web-based Vnc Viewer. I know that VNC servers have that capability. Maybe that would be the best way to get you in, because without the touch capability, which you might be able to see. I mean, obviously it's not going to do anything because I can't hit any of these icons. But without the touch capability, if you could remote in and use a mouse and do everything you could locally, then I suppose that would get the job done too. You can use a client VNC right now, and that'll work fine. You'll still have all the functionality on the Pi 2 board, and it'll work relatively fast. But some of the software right now may try and put its output to the LCD screen instead of your VNC session. So I will work on changing some of the packages so that they output based on where you're accessing them from. Now you can see on the 3.5-inch board, or the 3.5-inch LCD, it's not as nice of an LCD, unfortunately, which is kind of why I suggested the 4-inch. But you can see that it comes up just fine, and that's on the Pi 2 board, right? So we are now operational on B+ and Pi with the same image. You have the same functionality as before. I want to add more functionality, but I'm trying to nail down this touchscreen issue, because this one obviously I can't do anything with either. as far as locally on the screen. If you run things remotely, they may actually pop up on the screen, but that doesn't do you much good if you have to remote into it anyway. So again, go ahead and install this if you have a Pi laying around, and try and help out the community here with the touch capability. If you do have something like this little micro USB keyboard with the touchpad up here on the right side, I don't remember, it's like $30 on Amazon. Seems like everything's about $30 for these Pis. You can, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'll move the B plus out of the way. Try and tilt that bad boy up here. Probably can't see anything, but you can actually use a little remote keyboard mouse like that and still function and get everything done, you know, that you would have been able to do with the touchscreen. It's just obviously not as convenient, and it's kind of weird there that Chrome opened up not full screen. But yeah, you're going to be able to, and you can already tell with a lot of the functions that on the Pi 2 they come up so much faster. Like the scratch pad there just loaded in an instant. If you watch the processor utilization, it stays much lower than it does on the B plus. Even something like the topology editor, which takes quite a bit longer than the B plus to load because it's a full graphical user interface. You saw how fast it just came up there. So again, the last hurdle here is the touchscreen. When we can get that working, then I'm going to toss more time into additional functions. I'd like to revamp the pen test section as well to make it more of an actual pen test tool set. And then I'll just start dropping images out. It does take a while to develop these. When I get one that's rolled up how I want it, what I have to do is copy it over to a smaller size drive in order to roll that up into an image, and then compress the image and then upload it to a server. So I'm not going to release new images every day, but if we can get something like the touchscreen fixed, or if I add a whole bunch of new functionality, then I'll release a new image and I'll put a new post about it on the website. So that's where we're at. NetPi is now working on the Raspberry Pi 2, and as well the image is backwards compatible to the B plus. Last hurdle being the touchscreen capability. Feel free to install it, see what you can do to get that resolved, and post a comment, shoot me an email. Let's get this thing fully functional on the Pi 2, and we will keep on rolling with development. Thanks for watching.